Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. This is episode 176. Crypto Zoo will not be joining me on this episode. He does join us later in the episode when we interview our guest, but he's not here for the intro because he's off making some career changes and getting prepared for that. So, congrats to him for making a big move in his life that he's needed to make for a while. Awesome. Way to go. But we have a regular friend of the show here. You've heard his voice quite a bit lately. We have Sir William Jarrett. I'm going to call you Sir William now. I like that. Especially when you got that top hats on, looking all classy. That's Sir William. But we have Willie Jarrett, the movie guy, who's been sort of spoiling movies here with us. But I mean, you guys are cool. You guys probably already watched this stuff anyways, long before we talk about it. But Willie, what is up, bud? How are you? How you been?
I've been doing well. Definitely doing a lot of movie watching and reviewing and everything in between.
Okay. Gonna ask you about that in a minute, but before we get to that, I got to do my usual spiel, which I forgot about, to remind listeners that we appreciate you and we thank you, and your support really helps us a lot. And all the places you've been supporting us on social media, on crypto. My usual co-host is Crypto Zoo 88 on all the social medias. I am the Steve Strout. Willie, throw your social media plug in there.
I am Wicca Bear. That is WICCABURR.
And of course, that will be linked up in the show notes. So follow all of us on social media. Go join that Facebook group. We're always posting stuff in there. We have a lot of other creators and stuff dropping things in there for you to check out. Go jump on the Patreon. We've been posting random things over there when time permitting. It's hard to buckle down and do things when you're a grown up and have real life duties and chores and jobs and bills and all that stuff. But over on the Patreon, we're posting little different things, some concert footage. We talked about games at one point. We spoil movies. We like doing that there. It's one of our favorite things to do over there, spoil movies. But you could join a Patreon, little as $1 a month. You get access to everything. There is a free option where you'll get some of the stuff. We're not stingy. But yeah, check it out. Everything that goes into there goes back into the show, helping it grow, helping us bring out new merch. It helps us. We get invited to conventions and stuff. Thing about that is we got to get our butts there. We get set up and took care of when we're there, but we got to get our asses there. Things like Patreon and stuff helps. So patreon.com/SteveCrypto. Go there, check that out. We have the merch page. Go on Etsy, search for the Steve and Crypto Show. You'll see all our merch, everything from mugs, coasters, tote bags. There's a hoodie. There's a couple different t-shirt options. A couple other things over there I can't think of off the top of my head because I'm talking too fast for some reason. I don't know. It's not usually my thing. I'm usually not talking fast. I'm usually like slow. And I've had people ask me if like, hey, do you smoke weed? Do you get stoned and stuff and do the show? And no, I don't. Like my co-host smokes. I don't smoke. It's weird. Like we're like the opposite. Anyways, where was I? Merch. Go get merch. And actually, we are kind of in the middle of hyping up one spooky season, Halloween. It's most of our favorite time of year, but the Halloween Xspo is our next convention, and we're hyping that up a bit, including a special guest on this episode that is one of the celebs from the Halloween Xspo. But at Halloween Xspo, I'm working on a new piece of merch. I'm hoping I could get it together in time, but it's going to be a cool piece of art custom done for us by one of our favorite artists. Uh, so Stephen Crypto, and we're gonna release it there, and we're gonna sell it and donate some of the proceeds to a local charity out in Spokane area. So stay tuned. We'll have more about that, but it's gonna be pretty rad. I've seen the art. I might have showed it to Willie. I don't know. I'm gonna show you though. You could see it. Um, that's in the works, and it's close to being ready. But I don't want to announce. I don't want to show everybody and officially announce it until then. But I'm just excited, so I had to blab my stupid mouth about it. So that I'm gonna have some new DVDs, stuff that I've been in. I'll have the Stoner Snakes Part 1 and 2 DVD, which is exciting to me. Maybe not to everybody, but I thought it was a pretty funny damn movie, and it was one of my first things I really got to be a featured performer in. I voice a snake, a stone snake. Go figure. The guy that doesn't get stoned is like one of the leads as a stone snake. Oh, anyways, there's that. I mentioned Patreon. I mentioned social media. I mentioned merch. I think that's all the places where you can support us besides sharing the episodes and leaving ratings and reviews and stuff. But speaking of ratings and reviews, we have Mr. Review Man himself, Sir William. We have Willie Jarrett hanging out. So you mentioned that you've been watching a lot of movies. Um,
Yep.
what are a couple of the things you watched lately that were worth mentioning?
Well, I definitely went out to the theaters and checked out a couple of new releases, which was I went to see the movie Him that was produced by Jordan Peele.
Right, right.
And
How's that hold up against his other other stuff that he's put out so far?
well, uh telling that you could easily tell the difference between him producing it and him directing it,
Right,
because there's some hints in him that you can kind of pick up that, oh, this social commentary it feels like it's from Jordan Peele. And sometimes you might sometimes it might end up being that way, but it's it's definitely different. It's going to have that kind of social commentary and sports horror, which that's a really rare genre to have
yeah,
horror in. And it's going to come off feeling like a little bit like a like a music video in a few scenes because of all the quick cuts and jumping of different twisted imageries and stuff of that nature. But it does have a solid story. The acting is pretty decent. Marlon Wayans was actually really good in this as Isaac White. So it was pretty well done by him.
right, right. Yeah, I've always liked him. He's always kind of showed that he can do a little bit of dramatic stuff. He could definitely do funny. We know that. The Wayans are
Yeah.
known for being funny, but he's kind of bringing the band back together for Scary Movie, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
He's
he
got
is.
most of the original people.
Yeah, I seen some of the articles mentioning about that. So that's going to be interesting what they come up with for the new installment.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I've heard little things about, them spoofing on like Art the Clown and some other stuff. So we'll see. I'll enjoy it. It'll be funny. Um, so what else? Anything else good?
I also checked out a Shudder movie called Night of the Reaper, and that had like a nice bit of 80s slasher nostalgia going on for that. And it was actually done by director Brandon Christensen. And forgive me, Brandon, if I butcher your name. I know I could easily butcher names up like that. But yeah, it was directed by him, and he was the same one that did Z. which had to do with like a little boogeyman creature that kind of plagued the kid. And he also did Superhost.
I'll have to check that. I keep seeing that every time I turn Shutter on, I see that one featured. So, and I keep going and starting that. What is it called? Is it Dangerous Animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep starting that and falling asleep. Not because it's bad, just because I'm old and old people start movies too late and fall asleep. But I'll probably fall asleep trying to finish that tonight. Um, did you did you have any thoughts on the new Conjuring movie? I'm pretty sure you went and saw that one.
Yeah, I went to see Conjuring the Last Rites. That one that one was pretty good. It definitely had a familiar vibe going with it for the first and second Conjuring movies. Even though it's placed even though it's placed later into the whole timeline of the
Right.
Warrens, and uh, it basically talks about Ed and Lorraine, and also their daughter, which the daughter ends up being a bit of a focus in the way of the movie, and also it deals with their very first assignment that ends up being their last one.
Okay. So they bring the daughter. So is it almost like maybe they're setting stuff up for the daughter to take over and do more Conjuring stuff, or is it?
Possibly,
Yeah.
because they did have it where the daughter kind of picked up a little bit of what Lorraine's powers are as well. So
Right. So they left the door kind of open there, and yeah. Okay, okay. Anything else new or coming up that you're excited to see?
I am excited to check out this movie that's been heavily advertising here and there on Instagram as of late, called I believe it's Blood Lake.
Bone Lake.
Bone Lake, thank you.
Yeah, because they keep under. I keep seeing the ad for it, and it's rated R, and they put the R after bone, so it looked like it says Boner Lake. I don't know if you caught that, but that kind of made me laugh.
Oh, now I have to
You'll
look
know.
out for that
You'll
now.
notice it now. Yeah. So Boner Lake. So I'm just gonna call it Boner Lake. But yeah, that movie looks wild, man. It
Yeah, it
looks
does
it
it
looks
does look
crazy.
wild.
Um. So is there gonna be any show times of that near you, or see you're close to the city? You have theaters that actually show good movies. Mine just show
Yeah,
Disney movies and crap.
yeah. I'll have to check to see if it's playing near me and if it's playing at a good time, because when they usually rated R, they usually end up being like thrown into like the more evening instead of like
Right.
having at least one or two matinee movies.
Do you prefer matinee?
Oh yeah, I definitely prefer matinee, especially if you have trouble like traveling to the movie
Right.
theaters and back. That's
I can
definitely a
relate.
better way of going about doing things. But if you want to make a whole evening of it, then that works out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I like matinees. Um, because usually if you're going to watch like a horror movie, there'll be less people there and you get like the theater to yourself and
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. I feel like it's a private screening for me and it makes me feel special and I can kind of focus. There's no distractions around me and but oh yeah, that movie Boner Lake looks good. Uh Boner Lake. But yeah, now you're gonna notice it and it's gonna make you laugh every time.
Oh yeah, now it's just going to remain seen now.
um I think the what do they call it? Welcome to Derry or something like that. I think that show is coming
Yeah, on
next
HBO
month.
Max.
Like somebody pointed out that there's a trailer now for it, which it might have already been out, but I didn't. I just heard about the trailer today, so I'll probably track that down and see if I'm interested in it. But Yeah, lots of cool stuff. Of course, it's the right time of year for it. Usually, I know you, like me, like to try to really pile on extra horror and Halloween stuff for your viewing pleasure. But gotta make time in between for convention stuff
Yeah.
because that's a big part of both of our lives. That's how we became friends. Uh, Conventions, and somehow I talked you into checking out a new convention that's been out a couple of years in Spokane, and you're gonna make the trip out to Halloween Expo, which is October 18th and 19th at the Spokane Convention Center. That is a beautiful building, a great place for a convention. It's run by an amazing dude who also runs the Comic Con they have out there, which is like huge. It's grown. Like he took that event from like a VFW hall to now like a huge convention center with thousands and thousands of people attending. Like he built that just by just being a good dude and showing love to the community and doing good for the community. And then he started doing that with the Halloween Expo a couple years ago, and it's just been fun. Just a fun show. Everybody's so accessible. Lots of great vendors. Uh, it's just a good time. And I hope to check out Spokane a little more this time. But it seemed like a pretty cool town.
I'm Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia, and you're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. Or are you?
Based on what you know so far, what are you excited about for the Halloween Expo?
Well, for the Halloween Expo, I just wanted I'm pretty excited to just go there and check it out because I've only checked out like basically the Emerald City Comic Con and also Crypticon. So that's the
Right.
only ones I've been able to check out like locally. So I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to explore and check out the Halloween Expo, and also like you, check out a little bit of a Spokane as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you gonna meet any of the guests or thinking about it while you're out there?
well, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I already met John Cassier when
Yeah.
he was over in the Crypticon.
Right.
But
Right.
I might go over there and go over there and meet him again, just to shoot the breeze and talk Crypt Keeper with him.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. When he'd been there and I didn't have time to go meet him. I should have. I wish I did, but I'm gonna make sure to this time, especially there. I could schmooze with him and be like, "Hey, I'm the official podcast of the Halloween Expo. We're 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 both guests here. High five, buddy." But no, but that's another cool thing. Like that convention treats the Steven Crypto Show pretty awesome, and that means the world. So I'm gonna give back a lot of promoting and devote a lot of time on the show to promoting them, which we're doing in the next couple episodes, including this one when we have one of the other celebrity guests, Brad Loree, who portrayed one. He's in a ton of things. He's a stunt actor. He's been in a ton of things from like Time Cop to freaking Cabin in the Woods. Like he's worked with Jackie Chan. He's worked with Van Damme on Time Cop. Like legends and pop culture history, all the way up to his biggest role, most iconic role as Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection. Like he got to throw hands with Busta Rhymes. Like that's pretty cool. Because if you don't like Busta, then you are a Buster. But um, but yeah, he's on this episode. Me and Crypto talked to him, and he's a cool dude, man. He was fun to talk to, funny guy. Uh, tell some cool stories of some of his stunts and stuff he did. and a couple other productions. I'm definitely looking forward to meeting him and hanging with him a little bit at the Halloween Expo. Other than that, why don't you tell everybody where they can hear more about or read more about those great movies that you've watched and plan to watch with your reviews?
So I have Instagram as well as Blue Sky and also at X, aka Twitter. And I have recently added myself onto Threads. So all of those are under Wicker Bear. So that is WICCABURR. So I'm easy to find. Just put down the name, and I'll pop up with a little purple hat there greeting you. So there's that, and also on Letterbox, I'm under that same name as well. I got like well over 100, maybe 200. I kind of lost count after a while of reviews there, so you can check those out as well as the lists I make there. I'll definitely be going around Halloween Expo, and I will be styling a new hat there, and Steve already seen it, so he knows that it's going to be cool. So there's going to be that hat, and I'm going to be probably bringing the other hat that I wore at Crypticon, the
Okay.
the purple one.
Okay. So if you don't know Willie, if you've been to Crypticon, you might not know him, but you've seen him there. He is the cool guy walking around with the cool top hats that are sometimes decorated. He's the sharpest dressed man at Crypticon, Sir William. Yeah, he's making the trip out to Expo to hang out, and I'm sure he'll probably be taking breaks here and there and hanging out at the table with me, and so you'll be able to come by and meet him and say hi and tell him how awesome his reviews are and how you're a big fan of his, and take pictures and stuff with us. We like pictures. We like attention. We need it because we're just old nerds that we're just getting old, so we need the attention to remind us that we were cool once and still a little bit cool. But I think we're gonna get to that interview and then wrap up the episode. So once again, Halloween Expo, October 18th, 19th. We're about to meet Brad Loree and have a good chat. But stick around at the end of the episode because one more little announcement. My buddy David from the Seattle band Evelyn's Casket, they're like a horror punk band out of Seattle. They got some really cool songs and they're good dudes. He sent me one of their songs to play. We've played them on the show before, but he sent me a song called "What's Your Favorite Scary Movie," which of course is a play on the line from Scream. But it's a really cool, catchy tune from them guys. I'm gonna play that at the end of the episode. But David is going out. Him and actually the drummer Biff, they're going out with another band. They're playing as they're working as the rhythm section for Nimvin, who is another goth horror punk guy. Pretty well known. If you know the genre, you know him. They're going on tour opening for horror punk icons Blitzkid throughout the Midwest and on the East Coast. So they're going to be out on tour with those guys through the rest of September. So look it up. Look up the Blitzkid tour and find where these guys are playing. Go check them out. Tell them you heard their song here on the Stephen Crypto Show. So like I said, stick around at the end. Evelyn's Casket. What's your favorite scary movie? It's a cool tune, but right now, Brad Loree.
Spokane, get ready for Halloween Expo, October 18th and 19th at the Spokane Convention Center. Enjoy 2 days of spooky fun, live magic, tarot readings, costume contests, and more. Meet special guests and explore over 150 unique vendors. VIP early access starts at 9:30 a.m. Saturday 10 to 6, Sunday 10 to 4. Kids 12 and under get in free with an adult ticket. Get your tickets now at HalloweenXspo.com. Don't miss Spokane's ultimate Halloween celebration.
Hey, Stephen Crypto listeners and Halloween Expo attendees. The Halloween Expo is coming October 18th and 19th in Spokane, Washington at the Convention Center. There's an awesome show. Go to Halloween X, the letter X, Spo.com and check out who we got coming. A lot of great guests, including our guest on this episode. We have an actor and stuntman who's been in a lot of, he's worked in a lot of great films, a lot of stuff with huge pop culture influence stuff like, you know, Tron Legacy and Time Cop. He's been in a Van Damme movie. That's pretty cool. That's a big part of my childhood. But Brad Loree, he is a Canadian actor. Great dude. So far, we've been chatting for a few minutes here, and I'm excited for you guys to meet him. So he's probably best known for portraying Michael Myers
Yes.
in Halloween Resurrection. He's known. He's a guy that got the fist fight Busta Rhymes.
Yes. Well, yeah, fist fight. He kicked me through a window, this son of a gun.
Yeah.
People were not happy about that when the movie first came out, I'll tell you.
You're like, why am I the one Michael Myers that gets a few shots, you know, from somebody else? Because most people can't stand a chance against Michael, but Busta Rhymes got a few punches in.
He well, you know, he was not Bruce Lee. He was a subpar martial artist. He was a Sonny Chiba fan, as we saw in the movie. And when I first started doing conventions, I took a lot of guff from people that were just so mad about that. And they said, "How could you let that?" And I just said, "Guys, I'm just a stunt man in a mask. I do what the script says." So
Yeah.
Before we talk a little more about that, let's jump in and get to the beginnings. What got you started in the film industry?
Well, when I was 13, I rediscovered Bruce Lee. I had been a big fan of his when I was a little 6-year-old, but he was Kato, you know, in the Green Hornets. And then when I was 13, I saw Fists of Fury, his first film, which was originally called The Big Boss. And that movie just blew me away. And, you know, Bruce Lee blew me away. And I just fell in love with him and the martial arts. And yeah, I grew up in this one-horse town about 45 minutes out of Vancouver. And there was like one karate school in town. And I joined that school in June of 1974. And the green belt instructor was a guy named Tony Morelli. And so I trained with them for all through junior high. Then in senior high, I kind of got away from the martial arts because I got into playing rugby because of girls. And but after I graduated high school, I saw this poster on the street one day, and there was Tony Morelli, and he was fighting for the world title in WKA full contact karate kickboxing. And you know, being from this little town, I mean, if he was fighting for the Canadian title, that would have been a big deal, or the North American title. But he was fighting for the world title. So my dad and my girlfriend, I went to watch him on April 19th, 1980. It was a big fight that the Hells Angels put on. The building was packed, you know, 16, 17,000 people. Anyway, Tony won the title that night. So I went back to the karate school, determined to become his sparring partner. And as luck would have it, he came down one night when I'd grown up quite a bit. I was a lot bigger than I was when I was in junior high. And anyway, he took me down the hall and recruited me that night as a sparring partner. And this was in the early 1980s, like I said, when the film industry was first coming to Vancouver. And because he was a world champion, he got some commercials, you know, he did a milk commercial and some workman's compensation commercials. And then he started doing stand-in work. And at that time, there was like maybe a handful of guys that called themselves stuntmen in Vancouver. And they had formed this group called Stunts Canada. And they
they thought to themselves, if we had a world champion in our group, that would be a real feather in our cap. Anyway, they just took him down the hall and recruited him because I was his friend and protege, and he sort of he would hire me from time to time and whatnot, and I guess it was supposed to be understood that if I wanted to do this, I could do it, but I didn't really understand that myself because I so revered the guy. But Ken Kerslinger, who you guys may know, played Jason in Jason versus Freddy. He and I worked one day on this show called Street Justice, and after work, he took me aside and said, "Brad, you should be doing this full time." He said, "If you get a page or a headshot and a resume, I'll take you around and introduce you to everybody." And that was the beginning of when I jumped in with both feet. And Ken and I have been best friends ever since. And at first I couldn't imagine I could be a working stuntman. And, the idea of ever getting into Stunts Canada was, way above my head. And anyway, all those things came to be. And then I just happened to fluke out and get an interview with the Halloween people, because I'm not a horror fan at all. But I had seen the first Halloween film and I really liked it. And then I watched the sequel and I really liked it. And then I went and sat in the theater waiting for the third one, waiting for the guy to show up. But anyway, when they called me to the office we'll talk about Michael Myers there. But that's how I got into film, was through my martial arts.
So
that's my long answer.
That's a perfect answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
So having built your career around doing stunts, so you've performed probably thousands of stunts, big, small, but had there been any that like scared the hell out of you that you were like nervous to really do?
The one stunt where I really was, just for a second, I was thinking, I could walk away from this. I'll never work as a stuntman again, but if this goes wrong, it's going to go really wrong. I was doubling an actor on a low budget show called Mantis. It only went one season. He was an African American superhero. He was a paraplegic scientist, physicist, or whatever he was, by day, and then a crime fighter by night. And I was dubbing this guy who was the bad guy. He was the alien. Anyway, I had to jump through an 8-foot by 8-foot window at night with all this horrendous costume on and all this and that. But the danger wasn't the height, jumping from the 3rd story into an airbag is nothing. People do that shit for fun. But the thing is, the 2nd floor of the building had a patio out front.
Oh.
It was more of a long jump than it was a high jump. It was my memory was, a good 14, maybe even 16 feet. It had this big concrete railing because there were steps on either side that came up to this patio. And the thing about it is even though they break the glass, for you just before you hit it, a pain that size will still slow you down. Plus, they had all these lighting flags in the way. They had this ramp for me when we were on the day we rehearsed. It was daytime. There was nothing there but the ramp and this open window. And but it was free because you had to run and jump out into the sky and clear the windowsill before you actually saw the airbag, your target. And but on the night, they had all these flags in the way, and it was nighttime, so the glare off the window was really blinding. And then they had this, I think you had a cape, and I had a big gun rack on my back. And then, because Ken Kerslinger was actually supposed to do it originally, but he decided his knee injuries were such that he would be able to push off and get that long jump done. But he had gone for the costume fitting, so when the wardrobe people brought up my boots at the very last second, they were these really brand new concrete stiff motorcycle boots, and they were fucking 2 sizes too small.
Oh.
So my toes are curled up like this in the boots, and I had to run along the thing. But on the day, and then, and I had to sit in a chair and get a bald cap and get painted all silver and this, that, and everything. I was it was from the time I got to set it was 13 hours later when we finally started to roll the cameras, and the director, Kim Manners, famous director up here in Vancouver from Missouri, did a lot of the X-Files, a lot of the TV series up here. But anyway, he had 5 different cameras on this window. And when you watch the actual episode, he kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but, he kind of broke with the time. Anyway, of the 5 shots he got, he used 4 of them. Like, you saw this guy run and jump, and you see him coming out the window, and then you see him, and then all these different angles, and then he lands, and then continues. So it kind of broke with the reality of chronological time. Anyway, he was very pleased, and the coordinator was very impressed. And I sort of made my bones that day, but I remember thinking beforehand, I wish I'd listened to my dad and stayed in school. But other than that, I don't like heights. So I did some high falls and whatnot that were kind of freaky, but I was not in fear of my life like I was, because the coordinator had said to me, Brad, if you feel you're falling short, don't try and save yourself and stay on this side of the railing. If you land on the railing, try and roll it, keep going, use your momentum to roll over and try to get towards the bag, because they had cardboard boxes all around the bag. And he said, I don't know, Brad, if you fall short of it, I don't think it'll kill you, but you're going to be pretty fucked up. And pardon me. He said,
it's okay.
Are you
you're good.
have any allergies we should know about? And that's the only time I've ever had a coordinator ask me that. But it all went well, and I survived, and I just remember the adjustment. Adjustment like that on a big feature would have been thousands of dollars, and I got a few $100s. So anyway, but I made a name for myself, so that was the one gag that was my one big stunt, in my opinion.
Right. What about I know Crypto has questioned about working on Shanghai Noon.
Yeah,
I know he was a fan of that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies growing up, and that I would say either that one or Rush Hour sent me down the rabbit hole of Jackie Chan films when I was a kid, just watching Rumble in the Bronx and a whole bunch of other ones. Snake in an Eagle's Shadow, that's a really old one that I like of his. So I'm just curious, did you happen to have any like hands-on time with Jackie? Because I know he does a lot of his own stunts. Did you guys talk about stunt work at all, or did you work together in that way?
I was involved in this huge barroom brawl.
Oh, that scene.
I was one of the guys. I'm the guy that Owen Wilson whispers in the guy's ear and tells him to throw Jackie out. Me and I throw Jackie out. He comes back in, and we're the first 2 guys he takes out before the big fight breaks out. I ended up getting knocked out with a bottle over my head by somebody else, but we had to work the fight scene out together, and I just remember we were just trying to get used to the kind of timing that he's used to, very specific kind of. It's almost like Wing Chun, the way he thinks and the rhythm that he works with. I just remember one of his guys said, "Hey, listen, Jackie likes you guys, because if he didn't, you'd be gone by now. So don't worry." And we had this anyway. We had this big fight scene, and but it was and I'm actually looking right now at the crew picture of the cast and crew picture of all of us gathered around with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan kneeling down in front, but working with the guy that was sort of the successor to the Bruce Lee legend. He kind of took the torch from Bruce when Bruce passed. Plus, he was in 2 of Bruce Lee's films as a stunt guy. That was a really big deal for me too. That was a very, very, very fond memories of Shanghai Noon, because I was out in Alberta, the province over from BC, and I was going back and forth between Shanghai Noon, and there was another movie being shot out there called Texas Rangers, and there was a penny strike happening at the time. So Texas Rangers was on what they call a gold contract, where you pay extra money in order to finish the project. If you start the project and the strike starts and you don't have the gold contract, you have to stop production. But they paid extra So anyway, my point is, it was a very lucrative 4 weeks going back and forth between those two films.
Well, good.
But Jackie was a nice guy. You know, my good friend of mine worked on Rumble in the Bronx. A buddy of mine who's a phenomenal martial artist, a guy named Laura Chartrand, who's a director today. But he is only the second Caucasian that Jackie Chan ever asked to be part of his stunt team.
Oh,
and Laura passed on it because Jackie was only paying his guys $100,000 a year, which sounds like a lot, but back then when we were working every day, we were making more than that. So, and Laura had bigger aspirations than following somebody, because he's, like I said, he's writing and directing today.
yeah.
Okay.
So, Steve asked you about like one of the scarier stunt moments that you've had, but do you have like just a standout stunt moment that you are most proud of from your career? Like maybe like the top thing that comes to your mind right away out of all the stuff that you've done, like the main one that you really, really enjoy being a part of?
Well,
not so much scary, you're just proud of.
There's a lot of shows that I worked on, a lot of people that I worked with. As far as one specific gag that stands out, when you ask me what I'm most proud of, it's not the same kind of pride you're talking about. I had to do what they call one of the machines we used to use in stunts is called a ratchet, and it's this frame with a kicker on it it uses compressed air, and when you step on it, it pops up about 1.5 feet off from its locked position, from its set position, and it throws you into the air. When you see guys running in battlefields and they get blown up and they're flying through the air off the ground, that's usually what they've done. But I had to do one backwards, and I was never a gymnast. I was never a high-flying, spinning martial artist. I was not a guy with great air sense. Is my point. And when I got to set that day, same coordinator as the big jump, he says, "Now, Brad, you're an expert at backward air rams, right?" And I said, "Well, seeing how I've never done one, I don't think I can say that." He goes, "Oh, we better rehearse then." And I also did the same gag on same thing on when I was doubling Tom Welling on Smallville. But I'm proud of the fact that I didn't screw up one rehearsal take. I did, and on the day. The idea was that I was, I forget who I was, but I was trying to stop an armored car robbery. And this really strong, I don't know if they were what they were, but anyway, I get punched. And the idea is that from where I get punched, I fly through the air backwards about 14 feet. And I land on the hood of a car. Well, when I was rehearsing, we had all sorts of pads down and pads on the hood of the car and whatnot. But when we actually went to shoot it, I had no pads. And the thing is, if you're not leaning back far enough, you're just going to get shot up into the air. You're still going to kind of have a shitty landing. But if you're leaning too far back when they fire that thing, it might flip you onto your head. Or it might shoot you on a much lower trajectory, in which case I might have gone head first into the front of the car, could have easily broken my neck. Anyway, but I pulled that off, and I still can't believe I did it because, like I said, mind you, we did have a trampoline as a kid, but I never even got to the point where I was doing backflips, which is super easy if you have any air sense, right? So that's what but if you ask me what I'm most proud of in the film industry is, it has nothing to do with my stunt work. It's how I treated the younger guys that were coming up after me, because not everybody welcomed me with open arms when I came on the scene. I had 2 guys marked for intensive care. Should I ever decide I'm not going to be a stunt guy again, I was going to find these guys and tune them up. But the guys that I helped out on their way up are now the stunt coordinators. And even as out of shape as I am, they keep trying to get me to come to set. They try to throw me a bone because they remember Brad Loree's the first guy I talked to, and Brad Loree's the first guy to hire me. I don't remember any of this, but anyway. But yeah, there's no particular one stunt that I'm proud of. The one where I almost, I was afraid for my life. I'm proud of that, but I got a lot that I was proud of, but no one in particular stands out though.
Yeah. It just sounds like you're just proud of the body of work that you've put out there.
That's exactly.
Yeah, and that you're inspiring other people to.
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you're not a big horror fan, but you've done stunt stuff in quite a few horror films and horror adjacent shows, like Supernatural, Cabin in the Woods, the Child's Play, reboot, a lot of things.
Festival of the Dead, another one called Blackburn Asylum. These are movies no one's ever heard of, but I'll work on a horror film because they all pay the same, right? But
right.
I mean, this is an example. Okay, I keep running into David Thornton, the guy that's been in all the Terrifier films.
Oh yeah,
and like he's not a big horror fan, but he's actually a improv comedian. He works with this group, this troop or whatever they're called. Anyway, but because I keep running into him, I thought, well, and I have this producer writer friend, and she loves horror, and whenever I go visit her, I try to watch a horror film with her because I'm trying to, she's writing a script right now that she wants me to be in and this and that. And of course, it's going to be a horror film, but so I'm trying to. Anyway, but I went to watch the Terrifier trailer, just the trailer, 2-minute trailer. I couldn't get halfway through. Fucking turned it off.
So,
the thing I loved about the first Halloween is that it wasn't overly bloody, gory, or violent. It was just suspenseful. The guy was fucking creepy, and he just kept coming, So that's what I loved about it. I mean, and I actually said to Malik Akkad when I was down in L.A. getting my head cast for them so they can make the mask to the shape of my head. I said, Malik, are we going to make one of these over-the-top bloody films? He says, no, Brad, we're going to try and go back to the more traditional Halloween, like the original one. I said, okay, good, because I'm not really psyched to be in some gore fest. My roommate, this guy that I used to live with, he says, check out this movie. It was the movie Hostel. Yep. And some girl ends up getting her eye blowtorched out. And I'm just like, I'm all for freedom being a North American, but I mean, those films to me should be,
So with the Halloween film playing as Michael Myers, how did you prepare yourself to wear the iconic mask?
Well, how did I prepare myself for the role? I just I watched all the Halloweens. Not the whole movie, but I fast forwarded to the Michael Myers and watched how everybody was. But inevitably, I came back to number one because Nick Castle is my Michael Myers. Okay.
Yep.
And so I took some time to meditate on why is Michael Myers. I wanted to decide in my own mind, right or wrong, why Michael was what my motivation was, and I was being interviewed on the set of Halloween. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I do remember that I sort of likened Michael to a demon-possessed man-child who doesn't have any concept of death. And when he's like a cat playing with a mouse, and when the mouse dies and stops playing, he's kind of confused, and that's why he tilts his head. Like, why doesn't the mouse want to play anymore, And I also thought of Michael. When I think of Michael's eyes, I think of a shark that swims and kills, and Michael walks and kills. So whenever we had a medium or close-up shot, I would purposely cross my eyes somewhat to try and make them look unfocused, make them look, like a shark's eyes or a doll's eyes even, And Dick Warlock gave me big props about that. He actually said in print, in an interview, that he thought that I was the best Michael ever because of what I had done with my eyes. And the producer of Jason versus Freddy had seen that interview that I did on the Halloween set. So when they came to town, he called me into the office because he wanted me for Jason. But when he called Ronnie Yu into the room, Ronnie says, Brad, I love you, but you're just not tall enough. So I thought to myself, well, if I don't get it, I sure hope Ken gets it. Because then they had this big cattle call, and they looked at hundreds of guys for a guy in a mask. I don't understand. Halloween people, I was the first person they called in the office. They hired me on the spot. Anyway, Kenny got the job, and the rest is history.
Did you Did you did they give you any kind of freedom to add your own twist and the mannerisms or anything like you did with the eyes? Was that just something you did, or were they like?
The only thing that I did, the only thing I felt like I wanted to do differently than Nick Castle was when, like I said, was with the eyes. I just wanted his eyes to look. I wanted, they were obviously going to see that it was a human being because we shot some scenes originally with a mesh in the eyes, but Mustafa Akkad said, no, I don't want that. I want people to see, that there's a person behind that mask.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted him to look like somebody without a conscience.
Yeah, almost like soulless. Yeah.
Yep.
On just a killing machine.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. But no, I did. I shouldn't keep saying this, but I never want to look like Chris Duran, who I love as a friend. But and he admits today that he kind of messed up my own. He said I never studied the other Michaels. I just did it my way. Well, I thought H2O was a good film, except the Michael Myers looked like a guy dressed as Michael Myers. He didn't look like Michael. He didn't move like Michael Myers. He was too human. He was not. He wasn't slow and methodical and purposeful. He looked like anyway.
There's a lot more to that role than
well,
a normal person realizes.
Yeah,
physically. Yeah.
Rick Rosenthal was very good about reminding me, Brad, because I was super nervous. He said, Brad, just take your time. You're Michael Myers. You're in no rush. That's the whole essence of Michael. He walks with purpose and but there's a method to his madness, but at a certain speed.
So, have by any chance have you and Tyler ever spoken at a convention or met or anything?
Oh yeah,
lots about your experiences behind the mask.
Yeah, I just was just 3-4 weeks ago. I forget where, but I saw Tyler. He lives in the States, but he's from Canada.
Yeah,
he's from the same province as my mom actually. And no, we've talked a fair bit. We don't get too much into. I don't really talk to any of the guys about because I don't care.
Right.
I'm not a horror guy, right? My one question though is I want to know who else had their head cast in order to build the mask, because I don't know if I'm just curious if they had done that for anybody else. I keep forgetting to ask Chris because I thought that was very interesting that because the mask was super comfortable and it was just a big Velcro strip in the back. They just hit it with the hair, right? It took 3 minutes, it took 2 minutes to put on and 15 seconds to take off, not even. And so I was very fortunate that way. I would get a little bit of condensation, but every time they cut, they were pretty good about taking. Unless we were going right away, they took the mask off because it was just that easy.
Okay.
Did you, when you were filming, to stay in the headspace and Michael Myers headspace, did you separate yourself from the rest of the cast?
While on set, if I was, that's a good question. I kind of keep to myself in real life, though. I'm not antisocial, but the Lorees are not pack animals. But I, when I was not needed at this moment, I was always in my trailer. I did not hobnob with the other actors as such. No. I on set, I did spend some time in different people's trailers hanging out. Not this weekend coming up, but the weekend after, I'm in Edison, New Jersey, the New Jersey Horror Con, and Thomas Ian Nicholson's supposed to be there, and I'm really really looking forward to reconnecting with Thomas because he and I were quite close on this when we were working together. He's a very nice young man, and I forget his story. He didn't really have a father figure in his life, and I sort of kind of took on I kind of played big brother with him, but he's a super guy, and I'm just so excited to see him again.
Yeah,
I hope he is too.
I'm sure, working with all these people, you do develop some really good relationships with a few people over the years
Well,
and it is exciting to meet up at conventions and everything. So,
oh yeah. I make new friends at every convention, and I got along well. Everybody. I didn't hang out with Busta a lot, but every morning every morning in the makeup trailer, he'd give me the biggest bear hug, and we'd have a laugh. And then, Jamie was very kind to my girlfriend and I. She, had us hang out with her in her trailer, and she kind of took on the big sister role with my girlfriend, and she was only in town 3.5 days. She bought everybody a crew gift, and she was just an absolute sweetheart. And everybody treated me like, I remember one of the kids was walking by because they all had these big star trailers, but I'm a stunt guy, so I'm just in my little cubby hole, which is more than I ever thought we deserved, But when you got your own room with a little cot and a bathroom and sometimes a television and an air conditioner, but somebody was walking by and said, "Brad, this is where they've got you," and I go, "Yeah." "Well, you're the star of the show," and I said, "No, the mask is the star of the show. I'm transporting it around, But no, they were all fantastic, and but you meet so many great people in this life and in this business. You can't keep in touch with everybody, which is, but I've tried to reach out to some of them. Just when I fall in love with somebody as a friend, the one thing I always try to do is if they're willing to give me their contact info, I always get their birthday. So once a year, happy birthday. I'm well. Hope you are too. And because friends are the real currency in life. I think, or the real value in life.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, we are getting close on time. We've got to promote the Halloween Expo, which is October 18th and 19th in Spokane. What do you look forward to at these conventions personally?
Well, I look forward to a good crowd. Mostly I'm just looking forward to, like, I guess some of the conventions, you go and they have real actors. Not stunt people. Like, I get kind of queasy when people refer to me as a celebrity or this and that. But when I go to the conventions, I'm always starstruck if they have real actors, because anybody that made their living as an actor is a god to me, and even to this day. And, but I just look forward to making new friends and new connections, because I've been on disability since 2009, sitting around bored out of my mind. Just quickly, I'll tell you, this is 10 years ago, but I got horrendously hooked on drugs, and damn near killed myself. And so I've been really, bored and lonely, depressed, all that stuff. So the conventions are really, really good for my psyche. People keep saying, because this weekend coming up is my 5th of 6 in a row. I have one weekend off, and then I have 7 in a row. And people go, "Aren't you getting sick of all the travel?" And I go, "You know what? I love traveling. I don't mind hanging out in airports, as long as I can get in some of these economy seats are kind of small for me. But that's my own fault, because I'm 160 pounds overweight. And one day I'll do something about it." Anyway,
that's what I always say.
I just look forward to meeting, I just look forward to seeing old friends and making new friends.
Yeah. You mentioned the actors and you're just a stunt guy and this and that, but I know you're not a horror fan, like we mentioned. The horror community, everybody involved in our favorite movies is an actor. They're all stars. You're part of it. You were Michael Myers. He's an icon to us. So don't sell yourself short there.
That's right.
No, I appreciate that, guys. It's just, I was raised that all people are equal, and I don't like being treated as something special,
Yeah.
But if somebody's
I get it.
that big a Halloween fan or that big Michael fan, like, if meeting Brad Loree is, I like treating them like they're special and making their day, and I've had a lot of parents come up to me, because I'm always very I take my time, and I try to treat little kids to something special. Give them something and
Give
take
them a memory. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Although I kind of get a little disconcerted sometimes when I see how young some of these kids are that he's seen all your movies and going, he's 14. Maybe wait till he's 14, Anyway, but that's not my
they walk up like trick or treat, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh.
How you raise your kid is your business, not mine. So
is there anything you're looking forward to about the Halloween Expo? Maybe checking out Spokane at all, or do you go and look ahead for like restaurants or something you want to check out while you're in town for a convention? Or do you just?
I don't have that kind of time. Listen,
Yeah.
after sitting at your table for, Fridays are usually 4 to 5 hours. This past Saturday was 9 hours because of my back. As long as whether I'm standing or sitting, if my spine is vertical, the gravitational compression eventually causes it to get really sore. And so I need to go and lay in bed. Like slouching is as lazy as that sounds. That's the most comfortable position for my back.
Yeah.
And plus I'm 65 and being as overweight as I am, I get tired real fast. So, I might hang out in the bar after the day's done, and have a beer with an old friend, but I don't go. I would like to have the time and the energy, especially when I go to cities that I've always wanted to see Boston. And last couple of years ago, I was in Minnesota, where my grandfather was from. My mother's dad was from Minnesota, and so that was a big deal. So I want to see enough that I can honestly say I've been there, because if I fly into the airport, drive however far to the convention center and the hotel, and then drive back to the airport and leave town, I don't really feel like I've seen the place. So I won't say to people I've been to. When I was in Detroit, it was not a great convention, but I stayed the extra day because I've always wanted to see Detroit. And as it happened, Seahawks. I grew growing up in Vancouver. My brother went to SPU for 3 years, so I'm a big Seahawks fan. And they were in Ford Stadium that Monday night to play the Lions, and they lost to the Lions that night. So I got to go and see them play. So I can say I've been to Detroit.
There you go.
When you just fly into the airport, and quite often the conventions are right near the airport. That's not. You can't say you saw that town unless you.
Right. And one last question: do you bring any cool props or anything for your table at conventions?
I bring 8x10s. I bring masks. I bring plastic prop knives. Because Michael's big with the knife. And I also have these I don't know, they're 8-inch by 14-inch tin pictures that are kind of a little more interesting than the paper 8x10. So that's as much as I bring, because I know some guys bring 3 suitcases of stuff, but I have my posters that I hang up, and people still are confused when they walk up to me as to who I am and what
You see that at a lot of conventions. Like the family walks up and they're looking at the banner, and then all of a sudden it's like 3, 2, 1. Oh,
well,
that person.
You know what I think part of the deal is, guys? If you get advertised as a stuntman, quite often they think you were the stunt double for Michael Myers. They don't realize that Hollywood, if there's no dialogue and you're in a mask, quite often they hire a stuntman because they save money not having to pay an actor the sort of lead actor rate, and the stunt guy still makes more money because we have a category up here in our union up here called stunt actor, which is the stunt contract starts at a principal contract, but if you're a stunt actor, you get another 50%. But production saves 50%, or even more from what a paid a lead actor role for a mask part. So
that probably means they could throw lines at you, right?
They can throw lines at you if you're a stunt actor. If you got an actor playing a security guard, stop or I'll shoot. Then he gets shot and falls down the stairs. Well, you got to hire a stunt guy to double that actor, unless you can find a stunt guy to say those lines and then get shot and fall down. It's a win-win for both sides, you see. But I make sure that people know that the only scene in the Resurrection that wasn't me, surprise, surprise, was at the very end when his eyes pop open in the body bag. They did not like the ending that we shot in Vancouver, so they reshot an ending in New York. And that guy now is going around doing conventions as Michael Myers, which, hey, good for him.
Good for him. Well, Brad, thank you for taking time for us. I am definitely looking forward to hanging with you at the Halloween Expo. We'll connect
Guys,
and chat more there.
What's the date you got for that?
We have October 18th and 19th.
October 18th and 19th. Hang on one second, guys. October 18th and 19th in Spokane, Washington.
There it is.
Okay, that is the one. Okay, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know the names of these shows. I'm like, yeah, I remember which town they're in, you know. So,
Yep.
no, I'm really looking forward to it because I've been wanting to do a show in Spokane for years. And years ago, there was a show in Seattle, but there was a recession on in the States. And because Ken and I aren't American, the guy wouldn't have us do a show. You know, like, if they even have to fly us, we could have driven down. You know, it's 2.5 hours to drive, right? But he says, no, not American. We're not going to have them. But at the time, there was a recession, and I understand that. The thing is, we're not taking anybody. We're not taking Americans' jobs, Canadians' jobs, Chinese jobs, because only Brad Loree can sell Brad Loree's autograph. Only Ken Cruiser can, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I still respect the fact there was a recession at the time. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yes, we will see you there, and thanks again
Come
for
by,
hanging
we'll
with
get a
us.
selfie together.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Get our Steve and
Crypto.
All right, brother. God bless, guys. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for talking.
You bet. Anytime.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
All right. We are back. Thanks, Brad. It was good chatting. Look forward to seeing you in Spokane. I guess it's time to say goodbye and get ready for the next episode and start packing for the trip to Spokane. Gathering up all the goods and all the merch. Like I mentioned, we'll have some different merch, some new movies, some limited quantity of t-shirts. What else? I did mention that art thing that I'm working on. Hopefully I pull it together fast enough, but it's looking pretty good. I should have some issues of Space Monsters magazine, which I'm a writer for. It's going to be a pretty cool book, but all this stuff is like time. Everything's taking, the timing is, I can have a lot of cool shit or just a couple cool things. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully time is on our side and everything works out. But, Willie, thanks again for hanging out and filling in for Crypto. I need to get you guys all at the same time here. Gotta get you and Crypto on here and shoot the breeze. Before I wrap, let them know one more time where your letterbox and your social handle, and then we will get up out of here.
All right. Once again, that's Wicker Bear. That's WICCA BURR. That's going to be for all the platforms, Blue Sky, Letterbox, Instagram, X. And I'm also going to be there at the Halloween Expo as well. So you might see me sitting over there chilling with Steve at his booth there. And I'm going to have a little bit of business cards as well that's going to have my socials on it. So if you see me and want to say, hey, what's up? I'll reply back and give you a card.
All right, you guys heard it. Come hang out, say hi to Willie. Go follow Willie on the socials. He's a good dude. Say hi to him. Tell him you heard him here, or if you already know him, remind him how cool he is. That being said, keep supporting the show. patreon.com/Steve Crypto. Jump in there, get some cool extra stuff where we let you into our lives a little bit more outside the main show. buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto. Social medias, you just heard Willie's social media, CryptoZoo88. Go follow him. Follow The Steve Strout everywhere. Go to thestevestrout.com. I post random things in there. Sometimes I'll throw a movie review and stuff up there with time permitting. And yeah, I think that about does it for this episode. We got some more stuff coming up for Halloween Expo. We're going to be talking with, pretty soon, we're going to be talking with Lou Wagner, who was Lucius, the young chimp on Planet of the Apes, the one that helped them escape and all that stuff. He's like one of the last main cast members still around, and he had some great stories for us. He was fun to talk to. We got that one in the can and ready to go. That's going to be on the next episode. And I'm working on some other stuff. Might have a couple of our artist buddies that are going to be appearing at Halloween Expo 2 to come on and tell us what they got going on. So lots of stuff leading up to Halloween Expo. Excuse me if I don't die before then. Lots of stuff leading up to Halloween Expo and Halloween. So yeah. Let's call it evening, but before you go, listen to What's Your Favorite Scary Movie from Evelyn's Casket. Bye, guys.
What's your favorite scary movie?